Hi, my name is Saad, and along with my colleague Akshi Kumar, we'll talk about the carbon footprint in workplaces, why they exist, and strategies companies are employing to reduce the emissions these violent gases have in our atmosphere. Data is mostly obtained from the Australian Bureau of Statistics and the Australian Greenhouse Emission Information System website, which is AGS. Now, before we begin, let me introduce you once again to the most volatile greenhouse gases around us. We have the carbon dioxide that we breathe out, methane, nitrous oxide, tropospheric ozone, sulfur hexafluoride, and a bunch of other unpronounceable gases out there. Unfortunately, these gases are released as a result of day to day activities, which will be discussed further. Now let's go way back to the post-medieval era.
Here is a graph showing global carbon dioxide emissions from the early ages of 1751 till date in gigagrams. We can see that there's been very little to no emissions for a century and then a steady rise due to the industrial revolution all over the world and also global increase in population, and it's been slowly killing the earth ever since.
Here we have a list of the top 20 eco-friendly nations sorted according to the Environmental Performance Index, or EPI for short, which takes into consideration the amount of environmental damage caused by each nation. We can see here that Australia currently ranks at 13th position with an EPI of 87.22, globally surpassing advanced countries like Singapore with a better EPI, but still behind many smaller nations like Sweden, Finland, and Estonia.
The following figure clearly represents the trend in the carbon dioxide emissions of Australian states over the past 15 years, with Queensland predominantly emitting the most carbon dioxide at about 2,500 gigagrams, followed by the states New South Wales and Victoria. There hasn't been any significant drop from years 2000 to 2015 in those three regions, apart from Tasmania, which decreased every year from 2008. This is mainly due to less mining activities and also due to investments towards renewable energy sources like wind and hydroelectric power generation.
Here is a geomap of Australia with bubbles highlighting the CO2 emissions of all territories in 2015. Queensland stands first with about 2,571 gigagrams, followed by the states of New South Wales, Victoria, and Western Australia, while the states of South Australia, Northern Territory, ACT, and Tasmania are the least contributors of CO2. The heavy release can be attributed to various reasons such as concentration of manufacturing plants and industries which vary from state to state.
Sector-wise, energy industry emits the most amount of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere across all Australian states at 6,500 gigagrams, which is mostly due to coal mining practices, which is followed by agricultural activities, land use, forestry, industrial processes, and waste generation respectively. This is different in the case of Tasmania, which has land use as its main pollutant due to very low mining activities.
Today we will focus on the energy sector since it's the leading emitter of CO2 into the atmosphere.
Over the past 15 years, we have seen a trendy increase of CO2 emissions even after signing the Kyoto Protocol, which only took effect in early 2005. It finally decreased slightly in 2010 before picking up the pace again at 2012. It dipped by a promising margin in 2014 before skyrocketing at the end of year 2015, which is due to more and more companies in that sector investing in mining and manufacturing activities.
We can see that in the energy sector, electricity generation is the most emitter of CO2 as electricity is the most demanding amenity by population, followed by oil and gas extraction, basic ferrous metal manufacturing, and our old school coal mining.
Electricity generation pollutes the most air in the Western Australian region and almost the same amounts are on the South Australia, New South Wales, ACT and Victorian region, which is way more than Northern Territory and Queensland regions, where predominantly coal mining is the major source of carbon dioxide.
Now we look at the top 20 companies that release the most CO2 into the atmosphere. We have AGO Energy at number one with about 586 gigagrams, followed by Energy Australia and Origin Energy with about 457 and 383 gigagrams respectively. Notice that the top three are all generation as well as retail companies.
The top three, or as we name them, the dirty three companies, predominantly use coal as a fossil fuel to generate electricity, with the companies AGL and Energy Australia using the most quantity of coal. But Origin uses a significant amount of gas to generate its electricity, but scores really low in terms of renewables along with Energy Australia, while AGL invests the most in renewable energy.
In 2014, AGL announced that they will quit using natural gas as a means of generating electricity after they appointed a new chief executive. They have renewable energy source plants owned or acquired. These are landfill gas plants in the eastern states, Tasmania and Western Australia, biomass plants in Queensland, biogas plants in Victoria, solar panels in South Australia and North South Wales, wind farms in South Australia and Victoria, and lastly, hydroelectric assets around the Victorian and North South Wales border, in which they have used to project a drop in significant amounts of CO2 each year until 2020.
Now, with the recent United Nations Climate Change Conference, which was held in Paris in December 2015, the new protocol was signed by 196 nations. AGL are shifting towards a cleaner future and also venturing towards the home battery storage market, which is expected to surge in Australia given the popularity for rooftop solar.